Welcome to the Abundance Hack Show, where we are inspiring you to tap into your power to manifest the happiness, success, and fulfillment that you desire. I am your host, Niajae, the Upper Limit Coach. I am here to dismantle your limiting beliefs and remove the blocks so you can confidently live your life's purpose, because life is meant to be abundant. Hey M&Ms, thank you for tuning into the Abundance Hack Show. What are you manifesting in your life today? Today I am joined by AmyLee Westervelt, and I'm so excited because we totally geek out over crystals and manifestation and just like all this yummy things. So I'm like excited to actually interview her. So before we get started and you tell the audience who you are, I want to know, what does abundance mean to you?
Oh gosh, for me, abundance means having enough, but having so much that you don't need anything. It's that feeling of, like I was saying, it's called sophrosity. It's that
Mm.
feeling of just complete wholeness, that feeling of just being content with being, and not feeling like anything or anyone needs to be there to complete you.
Yes, I love it. I love it. All right, so tell the audience who you are. Who is AmyLee, and what are you all about in this world?
Yeah, so my name's AmyLee Westervelt. I am a life and business coach specifically for empaths and highly sensitive people. And the reason that I relate so much to that particular group is because I am one of those. And I am very familiar with the kind of struggles and the extra little, I don't want to call them handicaps, I want to say challenges that empaths tend to encounter in the world. For the most part, we eat, sleep, and breathe just like everybody else, but we have a higher level of feeling and interaction with our senses that sometimes other people don't understand. And it can alienate us, for one thing. Another thing is that it can intimidate people. And sometimes intimidation, when people are scared, and they're in fear, they aren't so nice sometimes. And so empaths tend to experience a lot more animosity from the world, and they don't know why. And so I'm kind of there to be like, here's why, here's what we can do about it, and here's how you can use these incredible talents that you have, as talents, as tools in your life to have more abundance, as opposed to as liabilities that make you feel less than.
I love it. I love it. So when did you first realize you were an empath?
Oh man. So I started life coaching with I had a life coach about 5 years ago. And after about 3 sessions with her, she was like, "Do you know what an empath is?" And I was like, "Not really. I know what empathy is." And she started to explain to me what an empath was. And I was like, "Wait, that's a thing?" And and then she had me read this book, which is incredible if you haven't read it. It's called Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents.
Oh, okay. I haven't read that.
It's really good. It's an easy read. It's very thin. Yeah, it's so good. And one of the things it talks about is that parents who are emotionally immature tend to create very emotionally mature children.
Mhm.
And so because of that, because we're so in tune with our emotions and the way that we feel, we tend to experience the world on a different frequency. You love that word, a different frequency. And it can be very challenging because it's like you're trying to explain, you know, um, a fine piece of fine art to somebody who's only ever seen crayon and paper.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's not a
Yeah.
condescending thing. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. So realizing that you were an empath, what was the process you went through? Like, did you go through a moment of like, I don't want this, or I feel less than, or this is challenging? Like, what was a challenge that you had to face just really stepping into that?
Well, I think it was actually the opposite, believe it or not. I
Oh,
think the
that's good.
challenge had happened so much before where I just thought I was different. I thought that I felt things differently. Quick story, when I was in high school, my mom said that one of my teachers had asked for a parent teacher conference, which never happened because my grades were good. And it turned out my mom said, so I had a conversation with your sociology teacher, and she said she's a little worried about you. And I was like, why? And she's like, well, all the other kids are talking about what's going on for lunch and who's dating who. And she says, you're talking about gender apartheid in Afghanistan. And this was before 9/11 too. So nobody knew what apartheid was, or people did, but most people didn't. But that's where my heart was. I was like, oh my goodness, these poor women that are being, oppressed and whatever. And like, my heart had always been there. So then to hear, oh, by the way, this is typical. This is typical. This is totally common. I can totally understand why this is happening to you, was like mind blowing. And then reading that book about my parents and seeing, yeah, this type of parent is going to do this, this, and this. And I'm like, whoa. So like some of the conversations that they say that parents would have were like right out of my childhood. So it was more of a shift the other way. It was like, I'm not broken. And then I kind of wanted, like, I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off, being like, you guys, we're not broken. We're not broken. This is just the way that we are. And it doesn't mean that there's anything less than about us. It just means that we experience things differently. And so it was almost like a huge catharsis for me more than anything. I think the challenges came on the front end more so.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So I did an interview recently with Danielle Laura, and she talks about the different types of like clear cognizant, clairvoyant. And so she basically goes into a description of like empaths are usually this clear ability, and I don't remember which one it is, but it's actually a gift. And so I think really tapping into it and learning how to use that as a gift rather than feeling like it's a burden is really, really powerful. Really powerful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My life coach just wrote this book, The Happy Empath. And there's this really cool rainbow quiz in it, which you take the quiz and it tells you what kind of empath you are. And I didn't even know there were different kinds of empaths till her book came out. I'm like, thanks, way to hold out on me. But there's different kinds. There's different, depending on what the abilities that you have are. And so to find out, I found out that I'm actually an emotional and an intuitive empath. And those are the kinds of empath that I am. But then there's also animal empath, and there's environmental empath. And then so like people that are like can hear plants. I'm not one of those people. I can kill plants and kill plants easily, but hearing them, no. Unless they're screaming, help, you forgot to water me for 3 weeks.
That's totally me. It's so hard for me to keep plants alive, but that's a whole nother story. So what is one of the biggest challenges that one of your clients has faced being an empath?
Empathicness, empathosity. It doesn't really have a noun. It comes with a lot of self-loathing. And it's interesting because of the circumstances that kind of condition an empath. They tend to come from a place where they've been sort of conditioned to not listen to their intuition, not listen to, kind of, okay, well, that's what you think, but you're wrong, or you're just a child, constantly being, gosh, my podcast sounds so depressing, and it shouldn't. And so for an empath, so I have this theory that when it comes to manifesting, and you and me, we're manifestors. When it comes to manifesting, there are two reasons why someone wouldn't be able to manifest. The big one is you don't believe in the law of attraction. You don't believe in the idea. You don't believe that you have the ability to change things. And you and I know tons of people like that. We can't really help them yet. But then you've got the people that know that it's possible, but they don't think they deserve it. And the empaths tend to fall into this category more often than not, because of conditioning, because of being with narcissistic people. I personally have a narcissistic parent. And so the biggest challenge tends to be just getting them to the point where they believe they deserve it. And those are like some rock solid limiting beliefs. And once you get in there and you kind of sneak up on them from behind and shine a flashlight, and then all of a sudden it opens up and these people become incredible manifestors. They heal so much. I know because it happened to me and I've seen it happen. It's like that light bulb moment and you're like, wow, and being part of that is well, I mean, you're a coach too. You know.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So I don't think that it sounds depressing, because I think that we have so many people that are empaths that don't know how to deal with their emotions. So this is information that's going to be really helpful for people, and for them to know they're not alone, for them to know that there is a way that they can harness that energy and those emotions into something that's going to be really useful in a world. So I don't think it sounds depressing
Okay,
at
good.
all. But yeah, we can shift to some manifesting stuff. So, when did you discover that you are a manifester? And I believe we all are, but it's like we have to discover we are and then really tap into it.
So I have the same boring story as a lot of people. I worked at Borders Bookstore, and everybody and their grandfather was talking about The Secret. And like Harry Potter before it, I don't like to do what everybody else does. So I read Harry Potter probably 3 years after it came out, because I was just like, I'm not reading what everybody else is reading. And the same thing happened with The Secret. And I would see it, I was the cat at the cash wrap during Christmas time, and I would see The Secret coming over and over and over again. And I'm like, oh my goodness, you guys, you're so crazy reading this book. Or it was the book and the video. And we ended up selling out of it. And I was like, I don't know. I kind of feel like I should read it. Like maybe there's something in it. I'm not really in a great place in my life, even if I get something out of it. We didn't have any, and there weren't any anywhere in the store. And I wasn't going to tell anybody to order one because I didn't want anyone to know. And so one day I was cleaning the back of the store. I was cleaning like the finance section, and I saw that someone had put down the video in the finance section, like it was lost, this copy. And I was like, okay, so I gotta get this. So I got the movie. I watched it. Like everyone else, I was on fire after I watched it, because that feeling, that the secret feeling that you get, everybody gets it. And I was just like, oh my goodness. And I started writing out my I'm so happy and grateful list. And I was, like I said, I was in college, and one by one, I just started picking them off. I wanted front row seats to my favorite concert. Done. I wanted, a whole bunch of free clothes. I went to Express, and they had this sale. And then there was I ended up getting like $600 worth of clothes for $99. I was like, this is amazing. And it was just like, as long as I tuned into that frequency of like abundance, I was unstoppable. And that's kind of where, I got the name for my group too, because there is a frequency that you literally cannot be stopped. And that's where manifesting takes place. And ever since then, I mean, when my back's to the wall and I have something I absolutely need, I can do what's called manic manifesting, as Gabby Bernstein says, and frantically manifest. But then there's also long-term manifesting. I think the biggest problem that I run into is that people don't know what they want. So it's really hard to get what you don't want, what you don't know. And that's kind of where my focus is, because empaths, we're all over the place. We're like, blah, 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 and we're multi-passionate. We're into this, we're into that, we're into that. And so just getting someone to sit down and go, okay, describe what you want. They're like, oh, well, I want this. But anyway, this person's needs. And it's like, they're always putting somebody else's needs above theirs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of my superpower.
Yeah. So when I have a client, I always tell them, ask themselves 3 times what you want, because the first layer is what society leads you to believe you should want. The second layer is what your parents or partner or friends feel you should want. And then the third layer is a little deeper, connected to your core desires. So there's definitely layers of it. And some people don't even allow themselves to go that deep. They don't even tap into their true desires in their core, because society and life has piled all of this stuff on top of them. So they don't even remember what it was that they desired. Abundance Box is more than a subscription box. It's a movement. Not only are you sent spiritual goodies to your doorstep, it's a commitment to yourself to not settle, to live to your full potential and manifest the life that you truly desire. For more information, go to abundancehack.com/box to receive crystals, sage, therapeutic grade essential oils, guided meditations, and access to the private Facebook group to connect with other awesome members of the Abundance Box tribe. Join the movement, because life is meant to be abundant. I feel like you are a super mom, and you have this thriving business. You have is it 5 kids?
Mm-hmm.
She has 5 kids, you guys, and she crushes it every single day. Like hashtag no excuses. So how do you do it? Because, okay, I just want to say one of my biggest pet peeves is when people say, like, you can't have it all. It is my biggest pet peeve. So they lead you to believe that as a woman, you have to choose between a family and a career or a thriving business. Or if you're a super powerful businesswoman, you know, you're going to intimidate men and you're not going to be in relationships. So like you are pulling it off. So like, how do you do it? How do you do it?
You know, it is so funny that you said that. And I will tell you, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't believe in the law of attraction, listen to what I'm about to say, and the hair on your arms is going to stand up. But in college, I had a mentor, someone that was assigned by my college that was an alumni that I was supposed to follow around, right? It was this really rich lady. She lived in Boston. I'm from, that area. And so she lived in Boston on the water, had money coming out of wherever, didn't have any kids. And she said to me, and I will never forget that, she said, there's a triangle. There's family, there's love, and there's career. And you can have any two that you want, but you can't have all three.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, from this moment on, I'm gonna prove you wrong. And that has been the underlying current of everything that I've done, is to prove that lady wrong. Because that's cool that she didn't want to have kids, no problem. But to make that sweeping statement that you can't have a family and be in love, me and my husband, we are best friends. We have sleepovers every night. We are what we call in Hebrew, beshert. We are soulmates to the nth degree, right? Mm. And we love our kids. And yeah, we love our business. And we didn't have to choose. You don't have to choose unless you choose to choose. Mm-hmm. And if you choose to choose, that's cool, but you don't have to choose. So when you said that, I was like, oh man.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So I'm all about dismantling the limiting beliefs. And that is one of the biggest limiting beliefs that society is putting in women's heads. And, even if we don't believe it, we store it subconsciously. So a lot of what I do is trying to help people peel those layers back so they know, yes, it is possible. And that's why I'm so passionate about this podcast, is because I'm bringing people on that are dismantling the limiting beliefs, because you are living proof that it's possible. And I mean, you show up, I feel like you just had a baby and you were on doing your videos days after and taking pictures yes, post I'm still fly and I have a newborn baby. It's absolutely amazing. You guys have to go follow her, because she's a huge inspiration. I don't have children, but I'm like mom goals when I do. So
you are so super sweet. Another thing that I think too, and tell me if you agree, aside from women being afraid to excel, I think we're also told constantly that we're oppressed. And so we feel like we have to fall into line with all the other victims. There's this one, I know you've seen it, graphic in all the women's groups, where it's the woman and the man, and they're side by side at the starting line, and the man has a straight shot to the finish, and the woman's got laundry and dishes and all this other stuff in her path, which insinuates that a woman can't do what a man does because she's expected to do all these other things. Well, I call BS on that, because my husband is the one who does all the cooking, all the cleaning, all the taking care of the kids, and I'm the business person, okay? And second of all, you are only as oppressed as you decide to be, and you, of all people, know what that is like. And so another thing that I think we both, as manifestors and as coaches, that we both stand for, that makes us so connected, is we're not going to let people just stand in the breadline. We're not going to let you say, you know what, I'm oppressed, society's against me. BS. Get out of your own head. Get out of that mentality. You can have anything they can have. The only reason you don't is because they told you that you're oppressed. Would you know you were oppressed if they didn't tell you you were oppressed? And that's what I want. That's what I wonder all the time. So another thing for women, if you want to be a boss babe and you want to then do it. Then stop letting someone tell you you can't. Then stop letting someone tell you it's hard. Find out if it's hard. I mean, there are days, yeah, absolutely, where I'm like doing an interview, running, feeding a baby real quick, changing a diaper, running back. In fact, today's one of those days. I have 3 interviews today, and I'm like, how am I even gonna like, but you do it, and then you look back and you go, wow, I did that.
Mm-hmm.
And that of all people, I mean, you're everywhere. You managed to like flip upside down, like doing that aerial thing in front of the ocean. And I still can't figure out what were you attached to?
It was an aerial rig that we set up, and I'm like, let's push it in the water. And like, they're like, okay, she's a little crazy. I feel like my best ideas, people always think I'm crazy, but they did it. And it was the most epic pictures
It's
ever.
beyond. It speaks things that words can't say, that picture. Like you need to blow it up in like panoramic, like Monet style, like the water lilies, and put it on your wall.
Thank you. Yeah, it's, we are powerful beyond belief. And that is what I want people to understand and really just like grasp that concept. Because like when you have an idea, if I was someone who believed I was oppressed, when I have an idea and I'm like, no, they're going to think I'm crazy, I wouldn't move forward with it. But I'm like, no, let's do it, because I believe like, some of the most far out there ideas are the most powerful ones. So allow yourself to dream, allow yourself to be crazy with your ideas, take the chances, take the risk, go on the trip, do the things, because that's going to shape you and your reality and your experience in this journey.
Absolutely. I completely 100% agree, because the worst thing in the world is being on your deathbed and looking back and going, I wonder what would have happened if I had done this. Because it's not a dress rehearsal. We all think, well, I'll do it better tomorrow. I'll do it. What if there is no tomorrow?
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Positivity.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So I have to ask, what are your, I would say favorite crystal, but I feel like there's going to be too many to mention. So what are your top 3 favorite crystals?
So like you, I'm definitely an amethyst girl. Love my amethyst. I definitely am a big kyanite fan. And I also found out that we have a kyanite mine here in Georgia that once a year has a dig. So I kind of want to do that.
Oh my goodness. We should plan it together. Oh my goodness.
Totally. We should video it. We should do like a YouTube of it. Yeah. Let's find out when it is. Let's put a pin in that.
Okay.
And then the other one is kind of a crazy one, but Larimar. I really enjoy the ocean, and Larimar is it's either from the ocean, like it's from coral or something, I don't know, but Larimar has something to do with mar is ocean in Spanish. But this is the one that I think I just kind of made it an anchor. And I tie it to whenever I want to go to the ocean. So like Amelia Island in Florida is like my favorite. And so whenever I kind of want to manifest a trip or anywhere where I'm going to see the ocean, I spend a lot of time with this, and I usually find myself near the water pretty soon. So those are my faves.
Awesome. And what part of Georgia are you in?
I live near Savannah, so
Okay.
I'm like in the rural part, like outside of Savannah. I'm probably about 3 hours from Disney World.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So I hate to wrap it up because I love chatting with you, but I want to end it with this. What are your top 3 tips for manifesting an abundant life?
For manifesting an abundant life. Well, the first one would definitely be to keep a gratitude journal. And I usually put what I want to manifest in there as well as what I'm grateful for. And what's really cool is you can go back and see what you wanted, and then you can see that you have it. And so it's like this process of gratitude and receiving, and it's like it kind of melds together. You don't really know the difference after a while between what you have and what you're already grateful for. So that's really cool. Another thing is that I try really hard to live in the moment. My husband is, but they call it was an Army Ranger. And so he was deployed a lot. But when we got together, he did a lot of trainings and things like that. And there was always this expectation that he was going to deploy again. And so I have become very cognizant of the people around me and being with them in the moment, because you never know when they're going to be gone for a long time. And so that's been really cool because, you know, I have some real key moments of my kids that I just can like have burned in my memory of things they said or did or things like that. And of course with my husband. And probably the last thing is that I consistently refine my goals. One of the things that I'm really passionate about is dream design. That's kind of my thing, is dream design. And when I realize that something about my goal or my end result doesn't jive anymore, I don't try to squeeze it into that hole anymore. I just kind of like let go of it, and either rework it or just leave it alone for a while. I have no problem with leaving things kind of amalgamous that way so that they can so I can find whatever it is, rather than trying to convince myself that that thing that I no longer feel an affinity to is the right thing. And, you know, and part of that too is just really not getting attached to the how. And I know you know that one too. You just really can't worry about how you're going to get the thing, because 90% of the things we want are hows. You really have to like get that, you know, pitchfork out or whatever, that pickaxe out, and really dig down and find what is the feeling that you're trying to manifest, as opposed to what is it that you're, you know, what are you trying to get on the way there? Yeah, you want 5 or 10,000 extra dollars a month, but why? It's paper. What if I gave you whatever was at the end? Would you really need the $10,000? You wouldn't. And so that's where people kind of get stuck. So I would definitely say that would be the third thing, just really loving myself enough to spend the time with myself to refine those goals.
Yes, I love it. Thank you so much. And tell people where they can find you online.
Yeah. So I have a website. It's gratitudeandglamour.com. It's kind of like a glorified paperweight right now, but we're doing a big rehaul of that. But if you want to join my Facebook group, we do tend to be generally ladies, but you know, we're not against men, but you just might feel a little bit overpowered by all that estrogen. And that is gratitudeandglamour.com/unstoppable. Or if you want to find it right on Facebook, it's just called Unstoppable. Yeah, that's where you'll find me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I always have so much fun with you, and we're going to plan the.
Yes, that would be so amazing. So amazing. Totally,
you live close enough that I think we could pull it off.
Yeah, you know, I was just in Savannah, and I'll be in Atlanta this weekend because I'm going to see Abraham.
I know, I'm so jealous, which thanks to you, I finally understand that whole concept, because I've read stuff, but I always thought it was her husband. I was like, but I've never seen him. And he has a really like nice voice.
Yeah, it took me a minute to understand, you know, that she's channeling her spirit guides, and the collective is called Abraham. And I feel like I listened to her probably for about a year before I even understood that. And so for a minute, I thought that Esther and Abraham were like mother-daughter or like sisters or something. So I'm sure there's all kind of speculations out there until people like fully understand what's going on.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I want to hear how it goes. You'll have to tell me.
Yes, definitely. All right, thank you again for coming, and until next time, M&M's love and light. Thank you for tuning in to the Abundance Hack Show. I would love to hear from you. Leave your comments and questions, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our yummy episodes. Every time you leave a 5-star rating or review, I do my happy dance.